Get it. Hey everyone. So I have a subscriber here who is actually interviewing at Square in next few days. You said Monday, Tuesday? Got a
Uh, so it's going to be tomorrow, Friday, and then also on
wow.
Monday. They let me split it into 2 days.
2 days? Okay, nice. So how are you feeling for those interviews?
I feel pretty good. I don't think Square has the hardest um, technical questions, but
Mhm.
still want to prepare as much as I can.
Nice. So what have you been doing so far to prepare?
Yeah, I've done the couple problems on LeetCode that are tagged with block, um, which is Square's parent company.
Mm.
And I've also just been going on zero track and trying to do questions around the 1800 to 2000 ELO
Nice.
level.
That's crazy. And how many questions have you done in total?
I think on this account, I have like 500 questions done in
Oh
total.
wow, that's actually quite a lot. So you've been doing these for a while then, huh? The leak codes?
Yeah, it's been like a little bit on and off, but I've been trying to do them consistently
Wow.
ever since I started my career
E-
in SWE.
even when you aren't even looking for a job, you're grinding out leak code questions?
Yeah, I try to because I feel like it's one of those skills that you want to keep sharp most of the time.
I see. That's crazy. Yeah, I haven't met really. Do you also work on side projects or it's mostly just leak coding on the side for fun?
Um, I'm also in the online Georgia Tech master's program, so
Nice.
that takes up most of the rest of my
Wow.
free time. But once I'm
You're
done with that,
grinding.
I'm yeah. Once I'm done with that, though, I hope to do some side projects,
Yeah.
just for myself and for fun.
What are your goals in SWE? Are you trying to like start a company, work in Fang, get the
Yeah, I
staff?
mean, I would say I'm definitely also pretty interested in the startup space. I'm taking a
Nice.
class right now called Global Entrepreneurship, and it's super interesting stuff to me personally. Um, like, hopefully, one day, if I feel like I have enough technical skills and have a good idea with enough customer market research, then it'd be something I'd consider pursuing. But other than that, right now my goal is just to be a better software developer. Like, I just want to be as good as I can.
Yeah. And what kind of stuff do you focus in right now? Are you back end, front end, working in Java, Python? Like where do you think your skills are at when it comes to that?
So most of my experience has been in backend. My company uses like Java and Spring Boot. I feel like that's pretty common in the industry.
Nice.
And most of my classes have been in Python, so I'm pretty proficient with it. Also, I think most people just do their lead code type of questions in Python since it's the easiest to do for interviews.
Yeah. I see.
I
Okay.
have I do have some front end experience though
Nice.
at work. Like right now, they've moved us to a project that's front end, even though our team's like a back end team. So I've been able to get some experience like with Angular and Lit.
Cool. Nice. All right. Let's get into this coding interview then. Probably spend about, I don't know, 20 minutes. Try, we'll probably try to go fast through the first one and then probably like 20 minutes a piece on the next ones. But yeah, so the format of this interview is how we usually want it. Just talk through your approach before we code, and yeah, I mean, I'll let you approach it the way you want to, and then I'll give feedback at the in between each question. So yeah, this is pretty much the first question. I'll let you go ahead and read it, and then just let me know what you're thinking.
Sounds good. All right. You are given an 8 by 8 matrix representing a chessboard. There's exactly one white rook represented by R, some number of white bishops B, and some number of black pawns P. Empty squares are represented by a dot, and a rook can move any number of squares horizontally or vertically, so like normal chess. And a rook is attacking a pawn if it can move to the pawn square in one move.
Mm-hmm.
No, a rook cannot move through other pieces such as bishops or pawns. This means a rook cannot attack a pawn if there is another piece blocking the path. return the number of pawns the white rook is attacking. Okay, so my first thoughts are that we should find where the rook is. Then once we have that, we can see how many pawns we are attacking. And we also have to consider the bishops as well. So let's say like in example 2, you can see that there are bishops in front of these pawns. So if we're looking at a row, we got to make sure, hey, there's no bishop before we reach a pawn if we want to count that as one of the pawns that the white rook is attacking. So first of all, we can get the number of rows and columns. Well, I guess it's always 8 by 8, but we'll set some variables to keep track of where the rook is.
Sure.
And iterate through our chessboard to find it. Okay, so now that we have the position of the rook, we can see if we're attacking any pawns on to the left of it. So we'll keep track of our total with this res variable.
Sure.
And this is the left side. So we can set our left pointer to column -1. And then we can see if there is a pawn that is not in front of the bishop. So we can do something like this. So this makes sure that we're not going out of bounds or not reaching a bishop first. Then we can just apply this like similar logic to the right side. And then we'd have to do the same thing for when we're going up and down. And finally, going down. Okay, I think this should work.
Okay. I mean, since Square is more practical company, I'm pretty sure they'll just let you. Do they care about getting it working and running the code? Is that a big
Yeah,
priority?
they do to some extent,
Yeah,
but I think they care more about explaining your thought process and yeah, just seeing how you think.
I see. That makes sense. Yeah. It looks like it's working. So since they're probably a bit more of a practical company, what would be like what would you do to optimize this if you wanted to get it into production? Maybe it doesn't
Mm.
need to be in terms of like runtime, but also like um, code structure.
Yeah, you could definitely. There's a lot of repeating functionality here, so you could have one function that is modular for all these traversals.
Mm-hmm. Could we implement that quickly?
Sure.
Just yeah, because I know when I ask more practical questions, I like to see how like I would also mark when it comes to like dry
Mhm.
principles, like not repeating code.
So we got to take into account direction and I'll do it like I'll kind of group up the left and the up in a similar fashion since they're both going down till zero.
So what are you thinking for? You're gonna make two functions, one for left and one for right, or sorry, one for
Yeah,
like horizontal, one for vertical.
I was going to group the left and the up into one category since they're both going down in a sense, and then the right and the down in another.
Putting some of your refactoring skills to the test.
Appreciate it. And then I guess we can change these depending on the direction.
If direction equals left,
And we want to, let's see.
Which part are you tripping out on? Like which
Yeah,
section?
I'm thinking about like if I'm grouping it up by left and up, then I would have to switch. Like
Mm-hmm.
this is currently the row, then I would have to switch that with
Mm-hmm.
the column. Um, so
So when you look at these functions, what's sort of duplicated and what do we need to change given like the different direction you're working on?
yeah, I guess what's duplicated is like checking if we're in bound, in bounds, and also if we're well, if the current position is on a bishop or if we're at a pawn.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so
Yeah.
can
And then what's like not duplicated? Or like what? Because it feels like that's the part that you're trying to figure out right now.
yes. So if we just pass in the current position, um, so I mean, no matter what, we can just do one check to see if we're in bounds
Mm-hmm.
and do something like this.
Mm-hmm. Makes sense. Have a super generalized while loop.
Mhm. And then depending on the direction, we either move I or J. So we got to do this outside of this while loop. Or no, no. It's here. So yeah, we could do something like this.
Sure.
Do you want me to go ahead and
Yeah.
use
No,
this
I
or
think it's good. Yeah. Just I
okay?
just wanted to see how you were thinking of doing it. And yeah, makes sense. So you took the while loop and made it more generalizable, and then yep, just made sure to handle the directions. Cool. Yeah, good job. I think you're able to talk through the coding portion, able to code up a like an optimal solution right away. Yeah, I just tried to throw a curveball, follow up by having refactoring it. So for that,
Hmm.
I'll just look for ways, just look for duplicated functionality and kind of mention that to the interviewer. Be like, okay, if you want to, or because that's a pretty common question to be like, okay, how could you improve it? So usually looking for areas that you duplicate the code, and you mentioned that,
Yeah.
and then yeah, pulling those out into its separate functions. If this was more object oriented, I would maybe have preferred to for it to be a function outside of the context there.
Hmm. Yeah, that makes sense.
But
I put
yeah,
it
I'm,
here
I'm just
somewhere.
giving a this is more for like more practical interviews. I'll just quickly,
Hmm.
so there's like the way that I approached it where we have this similar where we have a general while loop. And depending, I would just pass in like a -1 or 0 depending on like how we want to traverse it. So
Hmm.
try to keep the while loop general and yeah, pretty much do it for the different directions. The way you do neighbors in like a breadth first search or something like that. But
Gotcha.
yeah. But yeah, I still liked your approach too and I think it still would work. Yeah, let's move on to the next question then.
Alrighty.
Cool. Good job. How,
Thank
how
you.
do you feel about that first one? Warm up.
Yeah, I I felt good. I think I took a little too long to think about the generic function for it, but I'll make sure to um, like think about that more for the actual interview
Yeah.
about like how to
Maybe
optimize.
probably just like I wouldn't try to do it right away unless they really ask. I know some companies
Mhm.
definitely mark based on your object oriented principles or your um, drive principles. Like they'll actually mark you on code quality instead of just getting to optimal solution. I think with the
Mhm.
FANG companies, a lot of it is getting to optimal solution. But with the more practical companies, it's a lot more. I mean, actually writing clean code. I know for the companies I work at, I have to include that in my criteria. So
Mhm.
yeah, that includes like duplicating. The main thing that I look for is like, are they duplicating the code? Are they using proper variable names? Are they using proper object oriented principles? That's kind of
Makes
the things
sense.
that I mark for. But yeah, so yeah, pretty much great candidates would be able to just do the whole thing right away. But
Mhm.
if you're able to write it and then optimize it, it's still really good.
Gotcha.
So yeah, I'm gonna quickly let's get you on to the next question. I'm gonna pause the video real quick. It doesn't even let me pause. Okay, I'm just gonna get you to the next question.
Okay.
Or I think if I switch once, you get in there. Okay, I'm gonna move you on to the next question. I'll send it on my other account.
Sounds good.
How long has this been now? 25 minutes? Yeah, probably only have time for one more. But this one might be a little bit longer.
Okay.
And then just let me know if you want to do another one at some other point. But let's
For sure.
see. Let's send you this. Oh, wait. Wait. That one's invalid, huh?
Yeah, I think it's still the same one.
Yeah. Okay, try this now. All right.
Okay.
Cool.
I think that
Same
works.
thing. Awesome. Yeah, same thing. So this one I can explain it a little bit. So we're pretty much in a maze, and you're pretty much given where the ball starts, and you want to see if you could exit the maze. I think. Let's see. But essentially, how the ball works is when you could roll it a specific direction, up, down, left, or right, but it won't actually stop rolling until it hits a wall. So it's not like a traditional, like yeah, like you pretty much roll it one direction until it hits the wall, and then you could choose to roll it another direction. And pretty much what it's asking is if it can actually exit the maze or not. If it could actually hit the destination. So we're given a start and a destination.
Gotcha. Okay. And yeah, so we're just returning true or false.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see, how should we approach this? So right off the top of my head, I'm thinking we could use like some type of graph traversal to get from start to destination.
Mm-hmm.
And how are we allowed to move up, down, left, or right? Could use like, honestly, you could probably use BFS or DFS, but I'll go with BFS.
Mm-hmm.
So for BFS, we can create a queue with our starting point. And then when we are traversing, we also can create like a visit set to make sure that we're not going to the same coordinate again. And then we can kind of just iterate our BFS. So we'll just pop from the queue. And I'll create an array called directions that has our movements. Well, I guess it should be called moves. So we can go this way, this way, this way, and this way. Okay, so yeah, up, down, left, or right. And I guess if we already are on the destination, then we can just return true and break out of this while loop. Mm-hmm. Otherwise, we should go through all of these moves and our new X and new Y. We'll just have them as X and Y for now. Sure. So we got to make sure that we are like going to the end of the wall, so we can use like a while loop to make sure that our new X and new Y is like actually going to the end of the wall. And then if we haven't visited this before, we can add this new coordinate to our queue for traversal, and then also add it to the visit set. And so we return true, and then we make sure we go through this entire queue, and if we can't reach a destination, we'll probably be ending up revisiting some of these points in the visit set, and we wouldn't visit them again. So eventually our queue will become empty, and then we know it's not possible to reach the end of the maze, or I guess whatever the destination is, and just return false.
Okay.
Okay. I think that makes sense.
See? So we have to start. Could you walk me through a line by line?
Yeah. So we're creating a queue that has start as its first element, and then we have a visit set to keep track of the coordinates that we have visited. And I had this moves array to keep track of the possible moves, whether you go up, down, left, or right. And we just use breadth first search. So we take whatever is in the queue right now, and if here's our condition, if we actually reach the destination, we can just break away and return true. Otherwise, we will traverse through we'll go through these moves and make sure that we're like actually hitting the wall. And if the new x, new y coordinate hasn't been visited yet, we'll add it back to the queue for BFS traversal again. Otherwise, we don't have to visit that again.
I see.
And if the queue is empty, then we can just return false.
It looks good. I feel like there is a bug in it.
Okay.
Well, it worked. True, false. Submit it. Yeah, there's a bug in it. Would you be able to walk it through? Yeah, I'll give you some time to try to identify where the bug is. Where do you think, where could your algorithm possibly go wrong?
Let's see. Oh yeah, we gotta make sure we're not hitting the wall, or we make sure we're not going through the wall.
Nice catch.
Was that the bug you were thinking about?
Yeah. Let's see. Submit. Yeah, otherwise it looks good. Solid. Let's see. Submit. Nice. Cool. Yeah.
Awesome.
Nice work. I think definitely you look very familiar with Python. Yeah, definitely super familiar with Python, super concise code. You know how to work with the visited set, which is good. I see candidates make mistakes on that a lot.
Mhm.
But yeah, you're able to solve that. Yeah, have a good format for how you structure the breadth first search, which is good. Yeah, I like how concise it was with the way you're moving in the different directions. Yeah, it's a bit similar to the last one, but with the way we move stuff. But yeah, just that small bug. But otherwise, yeah, you're able to catch it, which is a good signal. Maybe I could have asked you to dry run it and see if you're able to step by line, and it might have caught it. But I think overall, good job. How do you feel about it? That question.
Yeah, I feel like it was a pretty fair question. I don't think it was too hard. Breadth
Yeah.
search is, I feel like, one of the easier graph
Yeah.
traversals. So,
Okay. I think we have time. I'll probably ask you for one more question. I want to get a
okay.
sense of where you're at. Let me pause it while I go grab that question. All right, we're at the final boss. Design a file system in memory. I'll let you go tackle it.
All right. You were asked to design a file system that allows you to create new paths and associate them with different values. The format of a path is one or more concatenated strings of the form slash followed by one or more lowercase English letters. For example, lead code slash problems are valid paths while an empty string and just a slash are not. Implement the file system class. So create path. It will take in a path and a value and creates a new path and associates a value to it if possible and returns true. Returns false if the path already exists or its parent path doesn't exist. And then get will return the value associated with path or return -1 if the path doesn't exist.
Mm.
Okay. Um, so, well, first of all, we probably want to check if a path is valid. So we can maybe create like a helper function. If the path is just a backslash or it's an empty string. Let's see, is there any other condition we should check for?
So
Not that
what's
I
sort
can
of your
think of.
approach? Or you're just making it is valid check first?
Yeah, I was just thinking about like, hey, okay, so when we're doing create path, we have to check if it's valid. But yeah, we definitely will have to instantiate some variables here too. I'm just writing this out for now.
Sure.
Okay. And then I'm just taking a sec to think about the problem.
Mm-hmm.
Just looking at some of these examples might help as well. Okay, so create path, return true, return true. Uh, Honestly, now that I think about it, you could probably use a try. So I'm gonna go with that approach.
Why do you think that?
Um, just because, like, when we're creating the path, if the parent for something doesn't exist, we can use a try for that and like uh, break early if we can't like go down the entire path.
Mm-hmm.
Or I guess, so we don't have to implement this entire thing. You could just use like a a default pick. And then, okay, so if the path is this or this, it's not valid. And also, for example, about path on, please. Okay, returns false if the path already exists. Okay, so we also have to check for that.
Mm-hmm.
Um, well, if I do it this way, then I would have to check for all of the like children inside of it. So maybe I'll just store all the paths here. And this can be like a simpler approach. And if we wanted to optimize, we could use a try.
So we're thinking of using a dictionary or just a
Yes.
hash map.
Yes. Yeah. And if we wanted to optimize, we could use a try. But I'm just gonna implement like hash map approach right now.
Okay, what would be the downsides of using a hash map versus a try?
Well, there'd be greater space complexity because we would have to store like all of the paths from like start to finish. So with a try, C and D could be um, encompassed by like two nodes, but with this, we'd have to have like a path for C and then also a path for like CD.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but pretend we have a super long path. How are we
Mm-hmm.
gonna? And how are we gonna check that if the parent exists? How are you thinking of doing that?
If you have a super long path.
Well, like, yeah, I mean, it will use up a lot of space if we have a super long path directory structure.
Mhm. Yeah.
But for the hash map approach, how are you thinking of ensuring that the parent exists?
Well, we can uh, just see if like the so for like leet code, we can check if leet uh, exists. So basically, just everything except for the last part of it.
Sure. Meaning, yeah, that makes sense.
Mhm.
Yeah, let's go ahead and implement that then.
And then when we're creating the path, searching it with the value. Okay, when we are doing the join, it's doing it in between all of them, so we have to add this in the beginning, I think. And then when we're doing get, returns the value associated with path. Okay. And if not, then we return -1. So we can use the dictionary get.
Mm-hmm.
And if we don't have it, return -1. I think this should work, but I'm gonna go ahead and give it a run and see what happens. Oh, never mind. Okay. Um,
What broke?
let's think about it. So I'm returning false. Kind of want to see where I'm returning false. So if I'm not printing this, that means I'm returning it here, which means that this is wrong. But if I am, then something is up with how I did, uh, how I created parents.
Mm-hmm. Well, what are you returning for? Like, if a path does exist.
Oh yeah. Okay. Yeah, we need to return true. That's that's the problem. I'm not returning true.
Or also, I'm thinking more about the get.
Oh, to get we're returning the value of the that's associated with the path.
Okay, let's run it.
Okay. Is there is there no output on this or
There's output on it.
okay? That means I'm returning here. Why is that? Wait, I actually can't see the output.
You can't
I don't
see
know
the
if
output.
I'm. Yeah.
Let's walk through it
uh,
line by line on a small
okay.
test case, and do a dry run.
Yes. Okay. So here we have file system and then create path. So we're creating um, creating self dot paths and hypothetically are but we're returning false already here, so it's not even we're not even adding it to the path.
I mean, let's try walk line by line and see where it's returning
Mhm.
and like why is it returning? What's being passed in there?
So we're passing in \a and then we check if it's valid. Um, so it's not this. Oh, okay, that makes sense. And then we are so issue is for this first one. We have that. Um, so
we'll still run into the same issue.
Mm-hmm.
It looks like the split isn't working the way you want it to, or there's an extra.
Yeah, there's that. And I guess we could um, do dot. Let's strip. I'm not sure if that will solve it, but I guess we'll see. No, we still have this.
So what's the issue that we're running into that's causing it to break?
We are getting this empty string whenever we split the pat.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
So like, why would that be an issue?
because when we are when creating this parent, all we're getting is this empty string. So
That's fine.
are we? What is the parent here? Okay, so it's just empty, and then this is
Like, is that a valid parent? Empty?
no. We should. Well, we can do one of two things. We can have what I had here earlier, and then just create or just add this to our paths as like a root. And we can just, I don't know, give it a default value of -1. I'm not sure if we'll ever try to get this, but we can just do that for now.
Yeah.
Okay. Case 2.
Yeah. I think we're since we're hitting the hour, don't want the video to be too long, but I think we're getting close to there. We've done we got able to get to 3 questions. I think for this question, one thing that you could have done was some clarifications, because I know the example does definitely gives you a lot of, like, it clarifies for you, so maybe, but I think in a real interview I would ask some clarifying questions, such as like, what are the are the paths always well formatted? Can there be relative paths? Full path? Are they always full paths and stuff like that? Like, clarifying questions like that, and just asserting some of the input and output to just understand that, and then probably working through like a very small case would have been helpful. Like, maybe like if we just dry ran sort of like or like copied and pasted a very small example like the first one, and then try to think of our approach through there. But I think you hop straight into coding right away, without talking about the various approaches. So I think that would be one thing that you could improve on, would be like, you get the question, you kind of clarifying to understand that you know exactly what they're asking, because a lot of the times it's not going to be as they're not going to give you as much information as this lead code question. You're going to have to ask questions in order to get to know what's happening, right?
Yeah, definitely.
So yeah, and then after you're figuring out what's happening, definitely talk through some of the different approaches. I think you eventually mentioned them after, but you already started writing code by that point, like figuring out okay, maybe we could approach this using a try, and this is how it would look at a high level, mentioning that to me.
Mhm.
So I kind of understand how you're thinking about the problem as well. So be like, okay, we can do a try, that will be, or we can do a hash map, but then the hash map will be less space or take up more space, and just high level talking about that, those
Mhm.
cases. Yeah. I think, yeah, those would be the two things, would be just clarifying and then working through an example, and like you're able to get it as you code, but you're
Yeah.
more like solving it as you go instead of upfront.
Yeah. Yeah.
Which, yeah, let's see. Yeah, and things related to you. You were silent a bit when it's not, which is also fine to be silent during the
Mhm.
interview. But when you're making key decisions, it's good to just mention it out loud. So, for
Yep.
example, um, yeah, things related to when you're coding up the create path is a bit silent. So that, like, definitely mentioning of like, okay, why are we splitting here? Oh yeah, why are we building it up in this way? Or we're gonna split it and build it up in this way so we can check the parent, and we're only moving from the start to -1, so that's how we're extracting the parent. So like
Mhm.
it's just that stuff, just bringing up that stuff so I know where like your thought process essentially when it comes to what you're solving.
Yeah.
Yeah, because definitely all the coding is there. You have the skills for all the coding, but it will just be more just letting me know your thought process, and then clarifications and doing things up front, like working through small examples as well.
Mhm.
Yeah. How do you feel about the question?
Yeah. No, I completely agree with what you're saying on the feedback. Um, I guess it's good that I'm doing this mock
Yeah, no,
now.
for sure. Yeah, no,
So I don't. I mean,
yeah,
I feel like I remember to do that like half the time, and then
mm,
like half the time I'm just like, oh, I'm just like solving another leak code problem, and normally you just solve them silently, but
yeah,
I got to keep on like reminding myself to speak up when I'm solving, and like always make sure to explain your approach before actually just jumping into it.
yeah, yeah. No, that happens to me too. Like you do so much questions, right? And then all of a sudden,
Mm-hmm.
or you get used to just, I'm gonna read the question, then I'm just gonna hop into it. But
Mm-hmm.
yeah, and usually, yeah, in the interview they're gonna give you way less information. You're gonna have to figure out the constraints of the question.
Yeah.
They might just be like, okay, we're gonna design the file system, and from there you're trying to figure
Mm-hmm.
out what exactly do you mean by that? What's gonna be? What are the methods? What are the inputs and outputs? Um, and then yeah, like what are valid inputs and outputs? What can we expect?
Yeah. Ask all those like clarifying
Yeah,
questions, like
exactly.
you
You
said.
probably spend like
Mm-hmm.
a few minutes doing that, and then yeah, definitely. You understood all the approaches, so just up like thinking about that up front a bit. Okay, yeah, we could probably use a try here. We could probably use a hash map. These are the trade offs. I think for
Mm-hmm.
simplicity, I might just use a hash map, which is like both ways work, right? But I just want to know
Yeah.
why you would choose one or the other.
Right.
So yeah. Other than that, like good job on the interviews. Just yeah, probably um, stop you here so we can chat about some of the other stuff after. But yeah, thanks for
Sounds
taking the
good.
time out to hop on this interview. I think this is going to be a good video.
Thank you. I'm glad to help with your channel. Everyone subscribe to James. He
Let's get
provides
it.
so much value to the community, and he's killing it, man.
Let's get it. Okay, I'm gonna pause this.